You're listening to the Everyone's Wrong podcast. We leave trigger warnings, safe spaces, political correctness behind to explore the extremes of political discourse.
Hey, you fucks. This is Everyone's Wrong. I'm Dave, a.k.a. the Great White North.
I'm Dustin Dark.
And I'm Ed, the New.
And tonight we are joined by...
Hi, I'm Jeanne.
And Jeanne, you are a podcaster. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm a podcaster. Well, I have a vagina to start. I've actually guested on more podcasts than I hosted. And this will actually...
That's because you're a podcast slut.
Well, no, it's because my podcast co-host was not so good with the upkeep of doing it. So, I don't know, I guess I got my start talking about like sex and body positivity, and then I was on a poly roundtable with 5 other people, and then I started a podcast, which then quickly died, and yeah, ever since then I've kind of been the talk about sex, gender, sexuality with people out loud.
So explain poly for the folks at home.
Oh, polyamory. I'm actually, I won't get into it too deep. Talk to me later if you want to about it, but it's about, not finding relationships restricted to just a one man, one woman, or just 2 people, that relationships are loving just beyond a binary.
So people like to fuck, basically.
Well, that too, but there's also relationship stuff that goes along with it. Grocery shopping is grocery shopping goes way faster if you have like 3 people doing it. All right, you produce, you.
And it's more expensive too, though, right? Because there's 3 people instead of just 2.
Yeah, but okay, but you take turns washing the dishes. Come on,
it's got a dishwasher.
Okay, you take turns cooking. You only have to cook like 2-3 nights a week tops.
No. I can see this. If I have 2 women in my house, like the dishes get washed twice as fast.
Whoa!
The laundry's done twice as fast.
Yeah.
Like you're winning me over with this.
And my bathroom is twice as clean if I have 2 men in my life.
And I'm just like, when do we fuck?
Of course you are. That's after the bathroom was clean.
We learned the last episode that Dave needs to fuck a chocolate cake to get going. Like it's part of his arousal process.
Hey, do it works, my friend. Do it works.
No. Look, I am not throwing shade over here.
Oh, I will. That sounds just sticky.
Well, I understand that it leads to a lot of yeast infections too. Like I really feel bad for the women and Dave's past.
Dave doesn't. I can tell. Ed is just rolling his eyes. Oh my God.
No, Ed is face palming. Like I feel like he's embarrassed. He's a little peachish red color.
Ed doesn't want us to get into his situation. So Ed was a Mormon until he was like 28. So he
and then we get into Ed's situation. Ed would not like us to talk about the things I'm about to say.
Yes.
God, you're such a dick.
I am, so.
I know. No, I'm just making an observation. That's all.
And it's the right observation. It's the first time you've been right tonight. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh, that's okay. Get used to it. That I'll not be right again.
Okay. Right on. Okay, so, oh, Jesus Christ, now I'm all flustered. See, you got me all flustered even.
Boom.
Welcome to the show,
Boom goes
guys.
the dynamite.
Welcome to the show.
Oh, shit.
So we were talking about Spider-Man.
No, we were talking about you jerking off, Ed. See, look at him. He's hiding behind this fucking... You should have saw when we had Dr. Daryl Ray on our old podcast. Holy shit, Ed almost shit his pants.
I'm sure that's on YouTube. If you guys start searching, you can find it. Wayward
Find it.
Atheist.
So wait.
Daryl Ray.
So you guys raped Daryl Ray? What are you talking about? Wasn't this a rape show that we're on?
We're going to get into it. Don't worry.
Oh, okay.
We're raping-
You're gonna.
There's 3 guys and 1 girl. There'll be some raping. Don't worry.
Oh,
good.
no.
Jesus Christ.
Oh no, Dave, you have crossed the line. Like, look, I like a good misogynistic joke. I really do. It's gets me going in the morning. But that was.
What do you want from me? She started
Well,
it.
I'm poly,
you
but
don't-
Jesus, like some consent would be nice.
Okay, just some consent, not full
optional.
consent. Just
I
a
thought
little
you
bit. I can get
Whoa,
that.
whoa.
I can coerce some consent here. I can get it going on. I'm a pretty convincing person.
Hi guys, how's it going?
Pretty good. All right.
Oh, yeah,
that was the show?
Enough. Enough.
And
rape
Dave
jokes,
went to
huh?
jail the next day. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
right.
good God.
Hi guys.
Hi.
See what happens when you bring a girl on the show? This is why I said no females allowed.
Oh, fuck you.
I'm kidding.
I'm an honorary Canadian.
You're honorary Canadian.
I would say that you're an honorary friend of the show too. Like you've been listening to us for
sure.
a while. It's kind of a tragedy that it's taken us this long to get you on. So, welcome to the show, Jeanne.
Before I made the heinous rape joke that's going to lose me my job, I was going to ask you about I guess you saw Dustin on Sacrilege, right? Is that where you first came across Dustin?
No, I came across Dustin because somebody had their pennies in a bunch about an interview that he'd done earlier that year. And then when I heard that Dustin was going to be on, I went to watch Sacrilege, and I think that's where you and I met up, was in the Hangouts there.
Yeah, because I was poking fun at him.
Mm-hmm.
But he called me 45, so he deserved it.
Oh my God.
Oh,
you know
man.
I'm old, right? You know I'm old.
So am I. It's okay. Don't worry. And I was just bitching about Dan Carlin today. Like he did an interview with
Now
Joe
that
Rogan the other
fucker's
day. He did an interview with Joe Rogan, and like every second word was "I'm old." I was like, Jesus Christ, Dan, you have other things to talk about other than your failing health.
No. I mean, like I enjoyed the Dan Carlin.
So did I.
Rogan
So
episode
did I.
personally.
So did I. I was just given a hard time about him.
Any people out there that happen to be starting their own podcast should probably give it a listen. They give some advice to people in our shoes. So
yeah,
I found it particularly enlightening myself for just such a reason.
I would say it was inspiring even.
Yeah. You know, Joe Rogan talked about how he was getting, when he started 25, 30 plays an episode.
Yeah.
And now it's millions and millions a month. So that is,
yeah.
it is inspiring.
You said it in a nice way. He was like, me, I only got 10 views. Stop crying. I used to get 20 is how that went. But yeah, right on. Okay. Well, we're going to jump into the show. Tonight's going to be a little fucking dicey. That's why we have the token here.
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome. Here, we'll be right back. Okay, and we're back from the break, and tonight we're going to be talking about all the sexual assault that's been popping up in the media. Is it legit? Is it not? Very complicated situation. So I honestly wanted a woman's opinion on it because not that I care that there's 3 guys sitting around talking about sexual assault, but it's nice to have a woman to be like, why are you laughing? Shut up, woman.
Keep going.
Make me a fucking sandwich.
Oh, yeah.
Fetch me a damn beer. Anyways. Hollywood, for some reason, seems fucking really rapey. So let's check that out. Okay.
Wait, can I start this out with saying I am not speaking for every woman everywhere by any fucking means. My opinions will be vastly diverse from a lot of people. And P.S. Hollywood, can you please, if you know that this job is going to involve a whole lot of sexual situations and assault in places that you might be comfortable, be uncomfortable, go find another fucking job. it's kind of that easy. If your work situation, I don't care where it is that bad, go elsewhere.
Well, I think, particularly in a Hollywood situation, like it's a very, very small business, you know, like community. And it's very rewarding if you make it. Like you're walking away from millions and millions and millions of dollars because Weinstein
so what is your self-respect worth?
No, I agree with you, but that's why a lot of people don't just outright say something. And frankly, I think a lot of people are, you know, well, this terrible thing happened, but now I get a nicer role. And that's unfortunate and fortunate at the same time. And I had best not rock this boat. So it's this weird situation where like he's using their ambition to manipulate them.
But is that not a choice that they're then making?
No.
I choose fame and fortune despite its risks.
Oh man.
Well, I think
are you really coming out?
so.
Hold on. Are you really coming out on Weinstein's side here? Like, I am super fascinated if you are.
No, not at all. I'm just coming out on the women seem to have an incredible lack of self-respect that they would be willing to choose to stay in that situation. That money to them becomes more important than being in a sexually disgusting environment.
But it's the power structure that really does it. It really is that simple. Like the white male that is dominating over the situation is really impinging upon the woman's right to make a substantial argument or even go to the police. It's this white patriarchy that's entrenched in our system.
What the fuck is going on?
I think Ed was possessed. Like, I never believed in demon possession until this moment. Like, he was possessed by a blood-sucking harpy. Like that.
Okay. Hang on. Let's take a serious. Okay, the Harvey Weinstein thing. Like, a lot of women went for it. A lot of women sucked his dick and got major roles in the film, and apparently he kept his word. If the women did what he asked, he kept his word. So, I mean, like, the ones that obviously didn't want the sexual advances and didn't want him to, you know, jerk off into a plant or try to get him into a shower. Like, I don't know if you guys listened to the tape that came out of Harvey Weinstein.
It's
like, that affected me for a couple days, actually.
Yeah, no, it's really dark. It's really dark. The whole thing is, and there's really no one that you can, I mean, there's the law, right? But it's like, what is the HR situation in Hollywood? You know what I mean? For the guy running the company. Yeah, I know.
His contract had sexual assault clauses in it. So, like, first sexual assault is like $250,000 taken off of his contract. Next one up to $750,000. But my question to the two Americans on the show is, so in the audio, when he admitted, not when he admitted, but when the tape was running and she said, "Yesterday you grabbed my tits or my breasts," I say titties.
Because you're classy.
Because I'm a classy dude. Why wasn't he arrested? Because he admitted to it. He said, "Yes, I know, but today's going to be different." So why wasn't he arrested for grabbing the titties?
I don't fucking know.
That's a fantastic question. I hadn't thought about that myself. There is a fair argument to be made that there is a rape culture within very powerful men.
Yes.
I totally buy the rape is largely speaking more about power than sex.
For sure.
You know, Joe Rogan even has a take on this that I really like, that even, and it's total speculation, but I just like it, so I'm going to repeat it. Even being like this fat, disgusting older guy is like part of it for him. You know what I mean? Like I'm gross, and they still fucking watch me beat off into a plant. You know, they still suck my dick. You know, my balls are still resting on their forehead.
Like, he probably doesn't shower beforehand.
Exactly. And of course, that's total speculation, but it does seem to be a power game with him, because with that money and that fame, you can fuck a lot of hot women
His wife was hot as fuck, man.
Right, but he's got to fuck Angelina Jolie.
But he had his wife, so done. Now,
Yeah.
Come on, Miss Polyamory. You're not going to make him fucking stick to his wife, are you? Like,
no. I'm just saying, like that's part of the power dynamic.
Yes.
But his wife is
like what?
Go ahead.
But once you've had that, then now what? Like you've conquered that mountain. Now what? Like the power will always still keep grabbing for whatever it thinks it can get, what it thinks it deserves.
I guess that is like the seed of pure, ambition. Like, Ed, do you have anything to throw in here? You're there with your mouth covered.
No, I'm just thinking about it. We talk about Harvey Weinstein, but it's also come out that there's a quote unquote pedophilia ring within Hollywood as well.
Oh yeah, Corey Feldman talks about that. Yeah,
I'm not sure I put much weight in what he says, to be quite honest, but there's other people that do talk about it as well. What is this whole concept? Like, is it just because it's powerful people that think because they've reached a certain economic plateau and a position that they're in that they can do whatever they want?
Well, I think the fame probably has more to do with it than just the money itself, because I've known some pretty wealthy people in my time and they don't participate in that kind of shit. I've known some really fucking hardcore criminals, like bad dudes that would never do the shit that Harvey Weinstein or any of the other people that are, cause I've got a huge list that, like, you think that the stuff that's come out in the past couple of days is a big list, but when Dustin asked me earlier to kind of look into some of the allegations, I've got a fucking giant list of Hollywood producers, news anchors, like people I've never even heard of, like just for instance, Andrew Kreisberg, who served as the executive producer of Supergirl and The Flash, has been suspended from working on CW shows after several allegations of sexual harassment. According to Variety, the report cites 19 anonymous sources.
Oh!
19! We never heard of this fucking guy before.
Well, at least if his number of allegations was a person, he could legally fuck it.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Stop, you're laughing too hard. I was trying to keep like serious face to that.
There's a fucking name on the list that I'm not surprised that's on this list. Andy Dick.
Oh no, like I listen to a lot of comedian podcasts, and they literally like Andy Dick will just be like, "Hi, I'm Andy," and then grab your dick. It's complete yes. stranger. He does it all the time, and then people will punch him, knock him down, and they're just be like, "Oh, Andy."
Yeah. Oh, that's just who he is. Yeah. Oh.
Well, there is a certain thing, particularly within the comedian culture there that I see that eccentricism. Like what's a good word? Ed, you're smarter than me.
Well, it's eccentric, yes, but I mean,
it takes an eccentric personality to get into it, and there is built into it a certain amount of acceptance of
narcissism,
delinquent behavior.
But for him, he's a past the line. He's a past the line comedian, right?
Yeah, but
so whatever.
The line.
No, but for Andy Dick, it's like.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Comedians are so used to getting to that point where they rub up to the line, and some want to push the next frontier. And
you should get consent first.
Yeah, you think you would, but anyway. But I mean, you think.
Oh well, he's literally known for it, you know. Like,
yeah. But okay, so why is that acceptable?
Because it's dudes, right? That's one of the things that I think is.
Right.
It is.
So this is something you guys were kind of talking around earlier. Is you think it, or you've been talking about power and like I'm so important that I can blah. But it's not just that. It's just dudes. I mean, not all dudes by any means, but
it's a minority of men, but it is a well. You know what? I'm gonna disagree with you there a little bit. Like
it's not just men. But
go ahead.
No, it's not just men.
Yeah, like I've had several managers, coworkers make sexual passes at me. Mostly women, I would say, but a few men as well. And it's something that I just brush off. and go through my day. Like I literally had a manager at one of my old jobs that told me that if she was gonna sleep with a white man, it would be me. And then she gave me this little, this little jivey, hippie little move when she said it.
No, you're not white.
And I'm mostly white. I'm white in her opinion. Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah. If I was gonna sleep with a white man, it would be a non-white man.
Would that be considered rape?
And then later she even came by and like grabbed my ponytail while I was at work, like on the clock. And
had you given her a reason to think that you would be acceptable to her advances?
Oh no. I had a
except for the
I was actually in a poly thing then, but I had two people in my life at that point, and that was pretty well known, and I wasn't looking for other people. No, I didn't put out any signs. But how dare you? That's rape culture.
I know, right?
Jenny, like, did you just blame the victim or not? I'm just kidding.
What were you wearing?
My uniform, you bitch.
Well, no wonder you sexy.
You were a shooter girl, weren't you? You're a fucking shooter girl. Titties hanging out. Boner in the front.
Just, whoa.
I was on tour with the Chippendale Dancers, but this is completely outside of the point here. Like this, no, okay. My point is, it's not just a male problem, but, men tend to just eat it. And to bring it back to the thing here, what we're talking about, back to Andy Dick specifically, and why he could get away with this with men as like a very chronic open thing, particularly thinking about the circles that he runs, this very liberal, and once again, eccentric circle. If I were to say something like, if that gay dude touches me or if he hits on me, I'm going to knock his fucking lights out. That's homophobic, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're kind of bullied into accepting it a little bit by the culture, if you think about it.
I know. I was just gonna say you're also a dude, and so you're supposed to just suck it up and put up with it, and you're not supposed to have any kind of reaction to it. You're just supposed to say, boys will be boys, type of thing. It's this milieu that you're stuck in, and you have to just accept it. I don't understand the dichotomy here that it's only sexual harassment if it happens to a woman, but if it happens to a man, it just, forget about it.
No, I'm gonna rebut that and just say there are things like I will flirt with people at work on a professional level. Like I have boobs, that's okay. I work in a primarily male dominated environment and have for most of my life. And there's a level between casual work flirting and actually getting to a point where whoa dude, boundary right there. Just call it and say okay, that was a step too far. We can roll that back a little bit and keep where we were. And then that's fine. But if you keep going this direction, we're going to have a problem. And why do more women or men, why do more women or men not step up and say something like this? That's my problem.
Yeah.
I didn't step up and tell people that they cross lines. There's a gay dude that I work with that flirts with me every time he sees me, and it doesn't particularly bother me. I mean, he's an effeminate man, so it's not like he could hold me down and fuck me, But
so is it threatening?
No, it's not threatening, nor is he a manager. And here's the thing, even when it was a manager doing it, it wasn't threatening to me. It's once again, and I'm willing to concede that ground to feminists that there is some fundamental difference when a woman is inappropriate to a man than when a man is inappropriate to a woman, because rape is much more possible.
Probable.
Ed, I'm larger and stronger than most women.
It doesn't really matter.
I'm
in a physical altercation, it matters. Well,
matter.
you were a child, weren't you? Ed, I'm talking about as a grown man. When a woman hits on me, unless she's a bodybuilder, I don't feel physically intimidated.
Let me tell you about a situation, okay, Dustin?
Yes, sir.
And it's because I don't get physical in that way with women that the situation was able to proceed like this. So there was a girl that I had sex with a couple times. I was hammered one night and I started dating this other fucking girls, and I'm like, I'm not gonna have sex with this chick anymore. And she was at my house, and I was fucking hammered, and I'm like, I'm going to bed. And she fucking comes into my room, jumps on top of me, and I'm like, no, like, fuck off. And then she keeps jumping on top of me, and I'm like, no, fuck off. And she keeps fucking jumping. She's like, she rips her fucking clothes off, and she's trying to rip my pants off, and I'm like, fuck off. And fucking, and what am I gonna do? Punch her? No, I don't, like, so there is that dynamic too, that they know, that a woman knows that some men, cause some men will punch a woman. I'm just not one of those men. So they know that they can push that fucking boundary with you. You know what I mean?
Well, there's still pieces of shit too.
That's absolutely fair. That's absolutely fair. I think. And here's the thing, me personally, like there is a point in my life where that probably could have happened. But I've been on the receiving end of an abusive relationship from like a 5 foot tall, 100-pound woman, you know, and here's the thing, like, she couldn't beat me up. There's a few times she almost got an upper hand. And I guess it's kind of fortunate that, you know, I'm 5'10", 5'11", 250 pounds. So I definitely have a size advantage on her. And I grew up fighting a fair amount, just my circumstance. But I'm at the point in my life, and Ed, you can go when I'm done with this. I'm at the point in my life to where, I think if I would be willing to hit a woman to defend myself or to prevent myself from being raped. Absolutely. Like I'll never let another woman push me around in that way. Like I don't want to hit someone, right? I absolutely don't want to. And I would try to evacuate. But if I can't, I'm going to defend myself because I'm a human being, just like they are. Go ahead, Ed.
One of the things that I was thinking of while you were speaking was the concept of, if you don't do X, I will say that you raped me. That has happened to multiple men, and it is a threat. A very valid threat. And so what do you do in that situation? That's a palpable threat.
No, it is. I had a girl after I broke up with her, and we were young, and I was very religious, and I hadn't slept with her. She told people actually for years that I raped her. There was a point that I had to get a lawyer. I'm like fucking 16, 17. It was there's definitely power in both directions. It's just not as obvious when it's women.
I had a couple of girls like do the false pregnancy thing when I was younger. It's still not as bad as the Harvey Weinstein. Just to clarify, I don't consider I had a teenage babysitter when I was like 7, make me do some shit to her and did some shit to me. And I've never felt like a victim in that situation. I barely can even remember the full extent of what happened. And it just, just because I'm sure it's because of my other life circumstances. It's just like, it doesn't even it's not like, so I could see it's just like, where somebody has had nothing wrong in their life go on, and then their parents get divorced and they're like, oh, it's the fucking worst thing ever. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, man, your parents are divorced. So fucking what? Suck it up. But to them, it probably feels the same way to me as some of the things in my life. Like, I won't say as my sister being murdered, but it's still like the other stuff in my life. It probably feels the same. So I think that like we have to, when we're looking at these situations, we have to think of Albert Einstein's the theory of relativity. Everything is relative, right? So what's relative to you is not relative to another person. So I think that, and I've been struggling with that lately. Go ahead, Ed.
Well, the old adage, like, my dad can beat up your dad.
Uh-huh.
And the usual response was, no, my dad can beat up yours. Well, my response was, how much would that cost me? Because that was the circumstance which I lived in. But, I feel I have to point out one thing before we go on with this conversation as well, is that no one deserves what happened to them. Like,
sure.
And none of these girls, and I want to stress that because I know all of us agree that what happened here is disgusting. It should never have happened. But maybe we're just delving into the possible causes as to why it happened.
Well, here's one thing that I want to say here. Like, okay, so you have your story, Ed, and Dave has his story, and I have a couple of stories myself. And I, when I was in kindergarten, I had a girlfriend that was 1 year older than me. Whatever girlfriends you have when you're in kindergarten, and I'm very young, and there was some sexual interactions between us. And I had no idea what was going on. And then as you age, you realize that almost assuredly means that she had tragedy in her life in a very similar way. 'Cause she was very knowledgeable, I would say, for a 6-year-old girl. And
thanks for that.
Yeah, well, that was a fairly traumatic thing for me for a while. So I there was the whole hashtag Me Too campaign after the whole Harvey Weinstein thing, and I think what a lot of people don't realize is I think it's almost everyone. It's almost universal to the human experience that there's going to be somewhat traumatic or unwanted sexual exchanges, and that's not saying that they're okay. That's not saying that at all. It just seems that for one, making a lot of people are damaged in a lot of ways. A lot of people misunderstand signs, and so it makes me very sympathetic to the consent campaigns that a lot of people have.
What really aggravates me, though, Dustin, is a lot of the false accusations that come out too. Like they see a bandwagon,
yes,
and then they jump on it, but they're not a case. You know what I mean? So how do you deal with that?
Well, here's the thing, man. Like, this is going to be one of those episodes where I think we have endless questions and almost no answers. But because while I'm 100% for the consent type of campaigns, the way we're going about them is, we're getting to the point where we're demonizing and condemning people for a lot of honest mistakes or misreading signs. We're making it difficult to approach a woman, as a young man. Like it's almost to the point where it's socially unacceptable, particularly in these, far left type of, regressive crowds, to just approach a woman and hit on them.
Which sucks.
Without some sort of express. Yes. Like, how do we fucking deal with that? Like, we have to find some balance, and I have no idea what it is.
I think some people are better at reading signs than others, but I mean, like, anytime I've spontaneously kissed a woman, it's led to sex, and a few times it's led to full-on relationships. I've never kissed a woman and had her go, get the fuck away from me. But I mean, like, sometimes and this is going to sound like total dickish, but sometimes I feel like of course I'm a fucking dick. It's going to sound dickish. That sometimes, and this goes for men too. So it's like both people, the ones that are like, oh, he hit on me in an elevator, or she fucking said this. If they were sexually attracted to the person, this wouldn't be a fucking issue, right? Because if it was fucking Brad Pitt in the elevator,
well, no. I'm going to say, like, there is plenty of cases of buyer's remorse, and that's a crock of shit.
I'm not talking about buyer's remorse. I'm talking about, when they're like, he inappropriately hit on me by asking me up to his room for drinks, right? If they were attracted to the person, or if the guy went in for a spontaneous kiss and they were attracted to the person, it would be a completely different story, right?
Well, no, I'm still saying that there's plenty of people that have done exactly what they wanted to do and exactly in that time period. And then they went back and the next day said, oh, holy fuck, that was dumb. And okay, so that was sexual assault. No, it wasn't. You were 100% on board when that happened. It's not sexual assault. It's not.
Well, that brings me to the Louis C.K. thing. And part of the discussion I wanted to have here is where do we draw the line? So let me ask everyone a question. Harvey Weinstein, we all agree that there should be, what, Dave, what do you think should happen?
To Harvey Weinstein? Well, I think because he admitted to grabbing somebody's tits, unwantedly on audio, that there should be criminal charges. I also think that it's up to the because he works for a private company, it's up to the company with the Harvey Weinstein thing, there was one thing that I wanted to stress to you guys before we moved on. But it's not just Harvey. So like I know like Harvey's the big fucking deal in the news, but Bob Weinstein has also producer Bob Weinstein, Harvey Weinstein's brother, was accused of sexual harassment by Amanda Siegel, an executive producer of a Weinstein Co. TV show. In an interview with Variety, Siegel claimed that Weinstein propositioned her on multiple occasions for private meetings and dinners. No should be enough, she exclaimed to Variety, adding after nobody who has asked. But, like that, asking you up for dinner, like repeatedly, is that really?
Sexual harassment, maybe a little bit. Sexual assault, definitely not.
Yes.
But on the other hand, take your fucking cue. You've turned him down twice. He should probably take that fucking hint.
I personally don't shit where I eat, so I just do not hit on people at work ever. I just don't.
Could you imagine if I went around and started banging all the housewives of the customers? Like that would be.
I'm disappointed that you're not, Dave. I'm very disappointed in you. Nice looking dude, you know. Like
I like money better.
Anyway, Ed probably has something serious to say. So you know, with these two guys, what would you say?
Both the Weinstein.
Well, I mean, if found guilty, they should be punished to the full extent of the law. But I mean, we also have to operate on the presumption of innocent until proven guilty.
Right. Jeanne?
I think that presumption has been taken like a little bit too far. And I also think that there are a lot of women that are probably, and this is going to be really fucking not fun, is, I think a lot of people are kind of hopping on the bandwagon and possibly crying wolf where a wolf didn't exist. So I don't discount them by any means. But it's kind of one of those new trends that are happening in popular culture. So, like, I'm kind of taking everything for a grain of salt, and I 100%, like, I'm around dudes a lot. So I get that there's probably a lot of things that probably have happened and legitimately were, like, really real and very fucking not cool. But, yeah, I think I think that I am scared that this is the new trend and that this is going to be a thing that just blows itself out of proportion. Right now it's probably more real, and I think in 6 months it's going to be a whole lot more just scandal mongering.
So is this a witch hunt in some way too?
I think it is, but I also think it's part of women trying to assert themselves as an actual legitimate set of people to be believed. So, like, I kind of don't fault women for actually stepping up and saying, like, no, Dick fucking raped me. Like, put this ass in jail. But I also think that there are a lot of women that are probably not being honest with themselves at the same time. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying, can you think of, like, could it have been something like, someone, put their hand on their shoulder, they didn't want it, and they freaked out? Or can it be something simple sometimes, and it's blown out of proportion? I've seen that happen as well, and I don't mean to belittle anything else that's happening, you know?
No, actually, like, I have a story from one of the places that I used to work, where there was a person that was an extremely scared person all the time, very frightened of everything, very overly cautious, I would say. And we would get out of work at midnight, and she would ask somebody, like, can somebody please walk me to my car? And I was like, oh yeah, sure, because your car is 3 minutes from where we are right now, and the door isn't even locked yet. And I have to pass where your car is to walk the other 10 minutes to get home. So, like, that was my neighborhood. I knew where to walk. I knew what sides of the streets to go on. I knew kind of what doors or alleys to avoid. And yeah, I was happy to walk her around the corner in 3 3 parking spaces up to go get a car because it was on my way home and these were my people. But the fact that she was just so scared all the time was, that is not a mindset that is easily changed. And her fear held her back in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So like, I get that there are a lot of women that live in this constant state of fear where, something's about to jump out at me or, I'm about to get raped. Like, no, you're kind of not. Like, maybe you will, but the odds of that are pretty statistically, well, like maybe once in your life, like 2 out of every 3 women will probably get raped in their life. But that's over a course of a lifetime, and some of them more, some of them less.
2 out of 3 women will get raped over their lifetime.
Yes.
Do you have numbers to support that and where they come from? I was actually planning on if I found the time tonight debunking the 1 in 5 number from colleges. So like the FBI numbers are not nearly anything like 2 out of 3 women. Like why do you say that?
Actually, this comes from like part of just because I'm old, like these are numbers that I heard, and having talked to a number of women, I would say that like pretty much 2 out of every 3 women that I have known and talked to on a close and intimate basis have been sexually assaulted in some way.
But I mean,
right. Well, sexually assaulted in some way. Like
so raped.
So like rapes. Like
yes, sexually.
Would you say 2 out of 3?
Sexually assaulted. More like, yeah. I'm going to say about half of the women that I've known have been raped.
Half the women you've known have been raped. That's extraordinarily high number.
Yeah,
well, I'm also close. I'm also close to 50. Like I'm also close.
That's like Congo. Like you know what I mean? That's the numbers you get in countries where rape is used as a literal weapon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, okay, no. Like, let me put this in perspective. Like, I'm close to 50. I've known a lot of women in my life, and I also grew up in a very small town where rape was maybe not common, but it wasn't uncommon by any means. And one of the schools that I went to in college was one of the highest rape places for women in the country.
Can you define what is your definition of rape in this for me, so I know exactly what you're talking about? Because there's a lot of definitions thrown around these days. So
yeah, okay. I'm just gonna go with like generic rape, which is horrible. But I'm gonna say physical penetration. I know, right?
What the
You know what? Actually,
you were here to fucking keep us in fucking line. The hell, generic?
No, actually, like you just gave me like an 80s flashback of like the white cans of cola with like the generic barcodes on them, like generic rape. Here it is. No, I'm gonna say forcible penetration by where did Ed go? By forcible penetration of a woman by a man with an insertable of some sort in some place.
What about the whole, like the high school thing? Just let me put the tip in. Is that rape?
Well, okay, so that would be buyer's remorse, because if she said yes and then like oops, it slipped, like you kind of fucking knew what was coming, right?
She knew, yeah. She wanted
either that or you're.
She wanted it, didn't she? Didn't she?
Either that or either that or you're an idiot. I know.
I just killed it. I'm sorry.
Oh my god! I don't know which one of you just said the worst thing.
Oh my god!
That was a race to the bottom.
Shit. Oh. Wait, I'm racing game to the bottom. That's horrible.
I know. I never thought that I would be the moral person in a conversation. What is happening here? Ooh, this episode.
I know, and it was going to be rough, and I knew I was going to come in joking about it, man. So
yeah.
Well, can I take a moment to defend the rape joke?
Sure.
Okay.
Since we're making so many of them, I want to take a moment to defend the rape joke. I personally joke about the most horrid things in life because it makes them more acceptable to talk about with people. And that's what we're doing here. We're talking about a very dark subject.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
And all of us have, the old joke is dark humor is like food in Soviet Russia. A lot of people don't get it. And I think that all of us would enjoy that joke for one. We would get food in Soviet Russia. So, that's why you're hearing so many terrible rape jokes tonight.
And that wasn't a bad joke. Oh my God.
No, that's the point. It was a terrible joke, and I think it's hilarious. No, that's the point I'm making. But what it's doing is it's opening all of us up. It gives you the feeling that you can be more honest because people aren't being so serious and judgmental. And I think that's a positive thing. So I just want to take the moment to defend what we're doing. And if anyone doesn't like it, they can suck my dick. So back to the conversation. Forcibly. Well, here's the thing. I was going to tell another rape joke, but it felt a bit forced. And then I thought, I can tell an abortion joke, but I decided to.
It was dead on arrival.
Yeah, it sure was.
Before we kind of got sidetracked from my list, I did want to talk about some other things other than just like the Weinsteins and like a guy on Girl. And you'd brought, I don't know if it was Ed or Dustin who brought up the pedophile stuff. So, this gentleman's name is Gary Goddard, and he was a producer. And you guys probably have heard of Anthony Edwards. He was on ER. No?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes. Okay. Dustin has not because he's okay. Anyways, Anthony Edwards alleged that producer Gary Goddard had molested him when he was a child. The actor wrote, "I was molested by Goddard. My best friend was raped by him. And this went on for years. It was reported that Goddard had previously been named in a 2014 lawsuit by Michael Egan against director Bryan Singer, which was later dropped. Goddard has yet to respond to the allegations." Now, Singer was also brought up in some allegations, right? And that's why he was taken off the X-Men films and all the other films. But, I want to say that with Louis C.K. and with Al Franken, they've admitted that what they did was wrong, right? But it wasn't necessarily like, okay, so Louis C.K. what he would do was so for people that don't follow stand-up comedy, what they do is you have a headliner and then they take younger comedians or like lower down comedians with them out on the road and they travel around with them and they open up for them. So Louis C.K. would get younger females that were opening up for him and invite them into a hotel room and he would ask them, "Do you mind if I take out my penis?" And then if they said yes, he would take out his penis and he would jerk off. So I don't know what the hoopla is about that because they said yes.
Well, this is a looser sort of interwork play, These are people that are not necessarily like under his management, but they're definitely there to benefit from him. But here's the thing, do they benefit from it?
It's part of the power dynamic.
They are agreeing to it. Right. Well, it's part of the power dynamic for both of them because once again, do these women get something out of it? It's similar to the Harvey Weinstein, except not quite as gross because he's not actually fucking these women.
Look, anybody that knows anything about like S&M or the power dynamic in sex knows that the bottom is actually the one that's in power, not the top.
If they're doing it correctly.
Yes. But if these women said no, which they have, Louis backed off.
Mm-hmm. Right. So, and this, like, I'm kind of old school, like, no means no guy.
Me too.
And
my friends have been like that.
Yes.
My friends have been like that too. I'm like, where are all these fucking guys coming from? Because I'm like, I must have been lucky with friends. Because I have not had a friend ever been charged with fucking rape.
Well, Dave, what I was talking about specifically is the change from no means no to yes means yes. Like, are you familiar?
Yes, of course. When I grew up,
okay.
no meant yes. When I was growing up, that's what that.
Oh shit!
Like it was in movies and everything, right?
No. I'm talking about the advice given to young men when I was growing up was if they say no, that means no, right?
Okay.
Which I'm in full support of. Okay, now the advice given to young men is, so no means well she didn't say no.
Okay.
Right. So they've changed it now to put consent on the other side. You don't have consent until you get positive consent, which is what they call it, positive consent. So how do you guys feel about that change from one to the other? And that's kind of what I'm talking about too with the being able to approach people is there's been a shift in the power dynamic.
I kind of like the fact that if you're not given explicit an explicit yes, and it doesn't mean to be a verbal yes. I mean, if she grabs you, you know what I mean. But I do think that is positive. I mean, and if she says no, no means no still. So I think it's the interplay of both. Both participants have to have an equal share in the communication of that. But I don't think that once the deed is done, you can retract consent. That's another thing. You know what I mean? Once it's all done, said and done, you can't retract it. I mean, that's retarded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
Dave, you like that shift?
I guess. It's so like I said earlier, it's so it's loaded even. You know what I mean? Like the whole thing, it's complicated and it's loaded. I don't like the fact that, okay, so I'm going to put myself in a younger person's shoes that is out on the town. When I used to go to the bar, when I was, 19, 20 years old, we'd go out to pick up chicks. We wouldn't worry, I wouldn't have to worry, like if I picked up a girl at a bar and we went home, I wouldn't have to worry about being like, is this okay? Is that okay? Is this so fucking okay? Is that okay? And now it seems like guys and girls at that age, like every fucking step of the sexual experience, they're going to have to asking. It takes the spontaneity completely out of it. Like I used to kiss girls without telling them I was going to kiss them when I was hitting on them all the time when I was younger. Never had a fucking problem. Maybe I read, like I said earlier, maybe I read signs better than other people, and I know, like, hey, that chick's not into me, or that woman's not into me, that woman is into me.
Or maybe you were just
right. Well, you're
too.
not. Well, you're definitely not, a Tad Aspie, so that's in your favor.
Yeah.
But some people are, and a lot of people don't know how to read signs. So does that make these guys, bad people?
No, it doesn't. That's what I was saying.
So,
last night.
if Louis had in his head, these women are consenting, and maybe they're a little uncomfortable and he missed those signs, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but, just hypothetical, and just real quick. To be clear, I'm the type of guy, I don't even particularly chase skirt. I have never went to the bar to try to meet women, right? I just go through my life and I happen to meet someone that's nice. That's just the type of person I am. So this almost doesn't pertain to me, cause I'm not a very aggressive person in that light anyway. I don't just randomly kiss people out of nowhere, but I have sympathy for the guys that do, I know that it seems biological almost, it's a drive.
It's exciting.
Ed, you have something to butt in with?
But we also have all the rom-coms that are out there that the guy is supposed to take charge.
Yes.
Right.
So,
well, that's what a lot of women want in my experience. And of course, when you see sales of 50 Shades of Grey, that
I'm fucking
when you see sales of things like 50 Shades of Grey, yeah, you can both suck a dick. How about that? They're not all buying it because they find it offensive.
That's true.
Like look at the romantic novel genre, which is it's driven by the market. Okay, what do women want? A large man to sweep them off their feet. Like, he doesn't show up and hey, you seem nice and pretty. Do you think you could go out with me?
How long has it been since you've read a
story.
romance novel?
I read them every day while I touch myself. Don't mess with me. You don't want this.
That's erotica. That's different.
Okay, hang on, Dustin.
You know what I'm talking about, though. That's
hang on.
Yes.
So I wanted to talk about, like, we're getting fucked up here.
A little bit, kind of off the rails.
Yes, a little bit, but I want to talk about Louis C.K.
I haven't asked my opinion in like a really long time. I'm really sorry.
Have I said something crazy, guys?
No.
Like, check me here.
No, not at all. I'm trying to get to something. And you guys keep fucking derailing me. Okay, I'm going to tell you what I'm trying to get to. I'm trying to get through Louis C.K. to Al Franken, then to George Takei. Now,
let's go. Let's rail.
My thought process on this is that both Louis C.K. and Al Franken have admitted wrongdoing, because I guess Louis C.K. said that he knew that because he was the headliner and he's, famous, that they would watch him fucking jerk off and let him pull out his cock. And Al Franken said, I was trying to be funny, but I did fucking take an inappropriate picture and I did kiss her. But the excuse of all fucking excuses comes from George Takei, right? He's like, it comes out that he sexually harassed a model and actor. And also on the Howard Stern show, I've witnessed it with my own eyes. Dude has blindfold on. He thinks he's getting jerked off by a girl. It's actually George Takei jerking his dick. What does George Takei say? The Russians are out to get me.
He did say that.
The Russians. The Russian trolls. Jesus Christ, George. Just admit to it and move on like all the other fuckers.
Yeah, but I mean, that to say, take response on his behalf, like take him to task for that. I mean, this Russian bullcrap is got to stop. I mean, this is a left position that is getting bizarre. Everything's the Russian, like that fucking makeup app. You can take off the makeup or chick.
That guy is
yeah,
Russian.
I know, but I mean, come on.
But Ed, with what goes along with the George Takei thing is, like, everybody was totally willing to jump on Franklin. They're totally willing to jump on Louis C.K. But I'm like, nobody's, the right is taking George Takei to task, but it seems like nobody else is jumping.
No, and they should. I think George Takei has privilege.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And
go on.
Well, I mean, come on. He has the gay privilege. He has.
Oh shit! The gay agenda. That just went crazy.
Wow, dude.
That just went crazy.
No, but seriously.
Explain.
No. I get what you're saying. Go ahead.
Are really protective. I mean, he is a really large.
Okay, so he has gay protection, not privilege.
Well, whatever. He's a major symbol for the gay and lesbian movement.
Like, let's be honest, dark.
Yes, but I mean, he represents so much. So that's like a hero being taken down, and a lot of people might think, well, they're just doing that to slander him because of X, Y, and Z. Yeah. And I think that's one of the reasons why he's not taken to task. But if we're going to be consistent.
Do you really, wait. Do you really think that that's just the left protecting their own? Or do you think that this is just a survival mechanism? That, like, this is not just a single party issue by any means. Like,
no.
The right is not damning Roy Moore.
He's just talking about this specific instance.
Yeah, but nobody calls that their own. Nobody does.
Of course not.
Well, I think to be ideologically consistent, one must be harder on the people that are on your side than you would be to be ideologically consistent. No one says everybody's ideologically consistent, but if I'm willing to go after a Republican for what they do, I should be twice as hard on the people that step out of line on my side, because
Oh, absolutely.
It's part of the premise of the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, Roy Moore and what's happening to the Republican in Alabama is just as bad as what George Takei did. And I think we really got to focus. It doesn't matter what side you're on. This shit got to stop, and we got to stand up to it. Period.
Okay, so part of this also comes back to something that has come out kind of recently, is that there are some prominent atheists, speakers, people that are paid big money to show up places that there's an underground group for. Like, hey, this person assaulted me. Some of it I've heard secondhand, and some of it I kind of witnessed, but it was willing. So, it's sort of the same thing, that within our communities, we have to be able to call that shit out and say, like, no, dude, like, this stuff has to stop. This is ridiculous.
And we also have to sit back and wait for evidence to emerge. We can't just say, okay, this person's guilty and that's it. Like, for instance, let's take George Takei. If there has been an allegation made, there has been some corroborating evidence, so you can infer that unless it's denied or complicit, we should say, okay, it's unacceptable. Let's get this to court. Let's hash this out. There is a thing that happens in the media right now, is that everybody, the public, and I can say I'm included because sometimes I fall for it too, is that we judge people because it's in the media. And I think we need to pull back a second and wait till the evidence comes out. And really,
okay.
I agree with that.
Well, okay, I'm going to dispute that, because when it comes to sexual assault, how do you prove something like that? Unless it's immediate, unless it's documented, unless there are witnesses, how do you prove sexual assault on either side? Either I did or I did not do.
So do you give up innocent until proven guilty because it's of a sexual nature and it's hard to prove?
Okay, so that's kind of the same thing with the person who is also being the victim. Are they innocent until proven guilty, or the other way? That's a really, really sticky boundary.
No, I think the principle is valid. You have to be presumed innocent until proven guilty, but you also have to. But you can't. One of the things that you can't do is say that because she did X, she's responsible. Unless she actually consented to the act, then that's different. But if she hasn't consented, then there's no possible standard in which the person would. You have to take that into effect.
Would you accept the same response? Hold on. Would you accept the same responsibility on yourself that, like, any guy that comes forward and says that you were inappropriate or that you raped them or whatever misconduct, that you forfeit your innocence because, like, aren't they innocent of being accused of lying? You know, like, do you put your freedom on the line in the same way? That's what I want to know.
No, this is where I'm saying that it's, like, really sticky, is because there is not anything usually that's definably provable in most cases. So I think that being skeptical and being rational is a good place to come from. That's really the only place that we can start, is to try to be logical thinkers. And so if I've heard nothing bad about a person and have only had good experiences with them, and then somebody shows up and says, like, oh my God, this person fucking raped me. Take that for what it is, listen to it, evaluate what they say, evaluate you perceive them to be as a person. Evaluate the person that you know that they are accusing, and try to find that middle ground. But then also the same thing in reverse is if you hear a bunch of stories kind of on the underground, like, hey, this person is this kind of guy, this person is this kind of girl, this is a person to kind of watch out for. If this is a person that you're going to say, hey, maybe you should warn your friends when you go to the conference, just like be on the lookout, like be a little wary. And then something comes out, like that holds a little bit more validity because there is that kind of underground culture, and that should be taken a bit more seriously. So I don't think there should be automatic blaming on either side. And everything should be looked at from a very skeptical and analytical point of view. But
you want to rebut, Ed,
Yeah.
right?
I put it in this way: if it happened to me, I would want even if someone came out and said something about me, particularly that I did X, I would want the presumption of innocence until it was demonstrated that I did something. I afford that to everybody, even in the worst cases. I have to, because if not, in the exact same situation, I would want it. So I have to make sure to insist that this person is innocent until proven guilty. To me, and let me give you a real life example before I met Dustin, there was a rumor going around that he was a racist, bigoted, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
And that was exactly what was being said. And I heard it from multiple people. Now, I could have said, multiple sources, an individual I don't know. The right thing to do was to assess and say, no, Dustin is innocent until proven guilty. I have to evaluate that for myself. So when I met him, over a course of a conversation, I could tell that this wasn't what I was getting. And then I subsequently went back to these other people and had a conversation and asked where this was coming from to some of the people I've heard it from. And I even listened to a podcast that he was on that accused him of multiple things. And I wouldn't want that to happen to me as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is the same situation. This is not a criminal act, what they were saying he was done, but it is hyperbolic conversation to isolate him from the world. This is why you have to presume innocence.
It doesn't matter what your feelings are when it comes to somebody being accused. There's a process of law. And that's it. The process of law is, if there's enough evidence, the person gets charged, and then they go to court. But even when there's enough evidence to charge the person, that doesn't mean that they're guilty. So for people to say to us, what about the way the woman feels, or you're making her out to be a liar? None of that matters. It really doesn't. I'm sorry to be an ass about it, but it really doesn't, because there's a process of law. Go ahead, Dustin.
Okay. Okay. So, and I know we're piling on you, Jeanne, and sorry about that.
Yeah, whatever.
But you almost described something like partial guilt by gossip, like bad reputation is a partial reason to believe accusations. And I think they stumped that pretty good. But I want to bring in a controversial solution,
Wait, can I throw a comment in here right now before you go there?
Yeah, throw it at me. Throw it at me.
That's actually exactly how I met you.
Well, I thought she was going to say your mother's a whore. Fuck.
That's how a lot of people have met me.
Is because I heard the controversial shit, and I said okay, so is this person actually worth this vitriol? and I met you, and I was like, oh no, this is actually like kind of a cool ass dude. Little contentious,
Why,
but
thank you.
but
Yeah.
But, I was willing to put that forward and say, okay, I'm going to evaluate the situation for myself. I'm going to put my skepticism on the line and do an analysis, and then went back to my people and said, like, where did this come from? And they're like, well, yeah, we've kind of made up since then. Okay. So you were kind of a dick on purpose for what reason? Because so anyway,
okay. So I will totally concede that there's a very complex situation here where, like, it shouldn't be easy to sexually assault or rape women and get away with it. Like, that's a terrible problem. But at the same time, we have to have a principle to stand on, and we have to, like, freedoms are very expensive. I know that that's an American concept. But we, and that's what Ed was talking about. Like, I want it for myself, so I have to extend it to other people, and we get that somewhat harmful. But, and it seems kind of hopeless. So the old conservative idea, and and I probably go on conservative spills with anyone on this show. We should teach. Of course, I'm going to upfront agree with the feminists. We should teach men as much as we can not to rape, and I think we do that actually a lot. If you get caught raping, you go to jail where they rape you because you're the rapist, and we hate them the most. And so like, but we should also teach women to be safe and how to avoid situations where rape is likely, because there's a minority of men out there that will rape the shit out of you. And I can sit down and be like, rape's bad, okay? And he's still gonna rape people because there's bad human beings, so part of it.
I want to kind of push you back on that a little bit, Dustin. And you did kind of say rape's bad, okay? But I think that like saying that fucking being like hang on, let me finish. We need to teach men not to rape is like,
yes.
No, hang on before you jump on there and say yes. Any man that's gonna rape, a fucking little lesson on not raping is not going to fucking stop the situation. Okay,
that's the joke.
Yes.
That's the rape's bad. You telling a rapist not to rape is dull.
Any man that's not going to rape doesn't need to be taught not to rape. If anything, that's telling men that all knows.
Hold on.
Whoa.
Seriously.
Hold on. Let me cut in. And once again, since I was defending the feminist position, I'm going to defend it once again. There are these guys that are like, oh man, she'll like it when I start. And they like explain away their forcible nature and their sexual act. And those are bad. And we could educate men better on that type of thing. And I think we're doing a good job on that. Well, some of them. Oh, okay. Well, okay, Dave, I'm always a throw education on the fire person. So yeah, we can educate people, on what's appropriate and what's not. I don't think that's a bad thing. And I'm kind of disturbed that you're arguing against that. Ed, you want to cut in? You're waving your hand.
Yeah, I'm going to cut in because I've never had a conversation where someone sat me down and said, don't rape, man. Don't rape. Never.
Well, is that why you keep raping people, Ed?
I don't.
Ed, hold on. Now's the time.
No, dude.
Don't rape Ed.
Don't rape.
No,
don't do it. Don't do it.
Hold up.
Hang on.
Hold up. No, let me finish.
Rape is bad. Okay?
The thing I've always had was respect people. And once if you get to that common place where you have to respect people and treat people as individuals, I do not see that sitting people down and saying rape is bad is ever going to change someone who is willing to do that in the first place. If you can't respect another individual's freedom or right to exist, then you're not going to worry about what I'm going to tell you.
Amen.
That's fair. I'm the type. If I get the inkling that a woman's not into it, like my dick runs away so hard I become a transgender woman. Like it's, I can't, like, just the inkling that they're not into it. Not even like a pushback or you know what I mean. Like even if I don't get any kind of verbal denial, I have to for me to want it, I have to feel like they want it. That's my spiel. Like everyone's
I'm
sexuality
going
is
to push
different.
back on you saying that you're disturbed that I don't see the need for it. Okay, look. If you say that men need to be taught not to rape, that's
not what I said.
No, it's kind of
that's not what I said. No. What I said that there are some instances where men are more pushy than they should be, and they explain it away. They think, well, she'll like it when I start, or and it's not this, like, the guys that fucking knock you over the head and rape you in the ass. Like, yeah, there's nothing you can do. You can't talk them out of it. But like a college frat guy that that drinks too much and gets a little forceful. Like, yeah, you could probably give him some advice and maybe help some of them. Like, to not be willing to put in the like, even if it has a very tiny amount of help, if it stops 5 people from getting raped, I think it's worth talking about it.
What it does do is it propagates this all men rape shit. That's what that does do. When you say, instead of, when you say, oh, men need to be taught not to rape, that propagates
men
that propagates the fucking all men rape.
Okay, so you're saying that at no point do any men need to be sat down and be like, hey man, make sure
what I'm saying is that any man that's gonna rape, sitting him down isn't gonna do shit. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Jenny.
Okay.
I don't see why that's so controversial. Like,
I don't understand why you're so against fucking, like, just putting out a positive message, dude. Like, Christ.
Because I think that saying that propagates all men rape. That's why I'm I'm not against.
Okay, I get your point, Dave. I get your point. I get your point. No, I fucking hear you saying that you've. No, I goddamn get it. I don't agree, but I get it.
Don't capitulate.
We don't have to agree. Shit.
Or there's a chick here. Whatever.
Okay, Jenny. Fucking identity politic us away. Let's go.
Oh shit.
Fine.
So yeah, like, not all men rape. Like, that's for fucking sure. But I've been in a couple situations where it's been like pretty fucking dicey, and like being able to sit a dude down and say like, dude, what you're trying to do right now is fucking not cool. Like, that's a conversation that needs to be had well before they get into their 20s. I'm just saying.
I think it is.
So the point I was trying to make, that on the other side of that, you also need to teach women how to be safe, right? Like, how to not to put themselves in particularly dangerous situations.
Like if a woman can't say, like, dude, like, chill the fuck out, then there's a problem with that. No, there's a problem with that conversation too. Like, women have to be able to stand up. And
yes, women have to be able to stand up, but at the same time, like, you should probably not, go out and get, plastered, hammered,
But are you victim blaming?
You should probably, no, I'm not victim blaming. I'm giving good advice to try to keep you from being a victim, is actually what I'm doing. Because there are men out there that no matter how much you tell them, rape's bad, they're going to put their dick in you against your will if you give them half a chance. So don't be the girl giving them half a chance.
Yeah, and I'm going to add the same thing. No one should be getting plasteredly drunk or, fucking...
Right. Men or women, but I'm more sympathetic to women. In that situation.
But I mean, getting plastered at a bar can lead to you getting fucked in the ass too.
Yeah. Well. Here's the thing, Jenny. Like, any advice that I would give to women to keep themselves from getting raped or hurt is the same advice I would give to men to keep them from getting robbed or taken advantage of.
Don't be stupid.
And that is the. Don't be stupid. Well, and stupid is subjective, isn't it? Stupid is what stupid does, and they don't know they're stupid because everyone thinks they're bright. So, sometimes you have to tell
especially
people,
here on this show.
Okay, like I haven't. Let me spill into an anecdote. I'll be real quick. I went up with some friends at a bar, met this group of people. this one chick thought I was being a bit sexist because I shook her hand in like a nice, what I consider Southern way, like not in the way I would shake a man's hand. Like I'm a little gentler with women. Yeah, I give them, a little palm. Anyway, and she gave me shit about it. But here's the thing. Later that night, she got drunk off her ass, passing off drunk at the bar, right? And I'm the guy that made sure she got home safe. That sexist guy that she didn't like when she showed up at the bar. The guy that would give her the advice not to do that in the first place. The bad guy in a lot of people's narratives here, the quote unquote victim blamer. What I'm trying to do is give people advice that keeps them from getting hurt. Like, I'm from the type of neighborhood that if you don't lock your doors, you're probably going to get robbed. Okay. Mm-hmm. Me telling you to lock your doors isn't like, well, if you don't lock your doors and you get burglarized, I'm victim blaming now. Like, no, you dumb fuck, lock your doors. It's a bad neighborhood. Don't expose yourself in a bad situation if you can help it. That is not to say that if you make these bad decisions, it is not your fault that you got raped. It is the fault of the man that raped you. Okay. But to say that you shouldn't try to protect yourself is dangerous and dumb, and frankly, it gets people raped. Yeah.
Or assaulted or robbed or
one thing that was happening here was that there was a guy going around roofing drinks in bars. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that the bar would said was, don't lay down your drink, or, they were actually giving out lids, that snap-on lids to go onto your drink. And the feminist community went crazy saying, no, you're victim blaming. And I'm like, no, they're fucking trying to make you safe.
Right.
Because it's their establishment too. They don't want this on their heads as well.
Right.
So they're trying to protect you, but the narrative comes out that you're victim blaming that, and no, we want to make sure you're safe and you enjoy yourself to the fullest and to go home safe at the end of the night.
Okay. So, but like, what kind of fucked up world is that we have to live there? Isn't that the other part of the coin too?
But you also have skeezy people anyway.
Well, yes, you do, but like to the high percentage that people should be having snap-on lids on their glasses. Is that percentage?
But
I know, but like, is that percentage like so high?
Rape is wrong now, right?
Like, if it's going on in that situation, well, first of all, that is getting the message out to men that rape is wrong. So that end is covered. I honestly support that because it's covering both ends. It's keeping the women safe, and it's suck a dick, Dave. I get it. You disagree. Ed, you're pointing at yourself. No. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I got roofied, and I wasn't, I could have, if they had the snappy lid,
what were you wearing?
Fuck, give me the snappy lid. That wasn't a funny thing.
I'm with you. What were you wearing though? Was it short?
It was made. It was the guy that did it was hitting on the girl that was next to me, who was super hot, and I got hurt. I got roofied.
That's not funny. I mean, it's funny in like a tragic way.
And
oh my god.
Anyway, so that's how. But at least I got it, not her. Right?
I was gonna say thanks for taking one for the team.
Okay, so this is we are getting to the point where we need to start wrapping this up. Does anyone want to give final thoughts? Dave, do you want to say what I just said so that you're hosting?
You're a cunt. She's a cunt. He's a cunt. You're all no, I'm just kidding. I'm just fucking around.
No, I have a cunt. That's fine. That's legit.
Okay. One of these things is not like the other. Is that what you're trying to say?
Exactly.
Dave.
I have a fart cunt. Does that count?
Jesus Christ.
Go ahead.
What I think is that, like, I must not live in the same world as those people, because I don't know people that behave like that. And I've been around the most fucking criminal motherfuckers you could fucking think of. And I was a criminal. But I still never thought of fucking doing that to women. So, like...
I've known some creepers.
You've known some creepers? I haven't. I haven't.
I've known some creepers. Well, Dave, you're probably the type of guy that puts off the vibe that you're murdering.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. Yes, I would. Yeah. A few things I don't put up with, and I know all jokes aside, I don't put up with that shit. That shit doesn't fucking roll with me at all. Like my own sister was raped and murdered. So on a serious, legit level, if you fucking abuse women or you abuse children, fuck you. And I'm like, with all honesty and sincerity on that fact. But there still is a rule of law. Accusations need to be hashed out. If there's enough evidence to charge somebody, then it needs to go to court. We're not saying the woman is lying, but we can't say the man is guilty.
Right. You have to kind of believe and disbelieve.
Yeah.
You have to suspend opinion until more facts come in. And I know
exactly. You have to say.
Yeah.
You have to say. I believe. I feel that you're sincere in your accusations, but until it comes out in court, we cannot. Put guilt on somebody. It's just, we can't. It's a fundamental part of our society, the whole justice system.
It is so weighted towards protecting men.
No, it's weighted towards protecting the innocent. I mean,
it's weighted towards protecting men. When it comes to
our justice system is weighted towards. Let me finish. Hold on.
Okay.
Our justice system is weighted towards protecting the innocent, no matter who the person is. That's why we have the justice is blindfold. Oh my God! First of all, women get lower prison sentences almost exclusively, like in every fucking situation. Like female teachers raping their fucking students get slapped on the hands all the time. Like no. I'm sorry. Look, it just so happens that we're talking about men raping women in this situation. It is just as hard to prove that a woman raped a man because of the way the justice system is set up.
That would be like a better way of stating it is that it is more weighted towards protecting the people who may be guilty.
Yeah.
Than it is.
Yes, it's the same with murder. It's the same with slander. It's the same with fraud.
Yes.
And that's why I said your feelings don't matter. My feelings don't matter. Their feelings don't matter.
Jeanne.
It doesn't in that situation. It's like evidence.
It's the old adage: rather 1,000 criminals go free than an innocent man or woman go behind bars for the rest of their life. We have a perfect case, David Milgaard, who spent 25 years here in Canada in prison for a crime he didn't commit, a murder.
Yeah, it happens all the time.
So we have to do that. I mean, I know it sucks, and I feel for people that have actually been assaulted or have been injured in some way, and the person who perpetrated that gets off. I really do. I feel for them. I've experienced it, but the idea that we should just believe everybody and then just railroad some guy or some woman into prison because we feel like they're guilty. That's where the worst miscarriages of justice actually occur. And that's the scary part.
Yes.
It's social media that does it.
No, I will concur with that. Like, to put somebody who is innocent, truly innocent behind bars is just a travesty.
Right.
But I will still argue that a lot of times, especially in the cases of sexual assault, whether it's against men or women, to put something forward legitimately in the eyes of the court is really hard. It is almost impossible. And that is a really, like, it's a fucking shitstorm that we have to fucking deal with. And there's no way around that right now.
Ed, do you have a last word?
I just think rapists are either male, female, what have you. If they're found guilty, proven guilty, they should be castrated and killed. I really do.
Castrated and killed?
Yeah,
wow, doubling down.
What sometimes people are convicted even though they're innocent, Ed.
No, I'm talking proof positive.
Like how, like
DNA, evidence, videotaped. He videotaped it. He's dancing around. Woohoo! Yeah, that kind of shit. Castrate or kill him.
Like with
Castrated, killed. Jesus
I'd do it
Christ.
myself.
Do you think that's strange and unusual punishment?
No. For the amount of emotional fucking abuse that a woman or a man has to deal with because of that cretins, I don't think it's harsh.
Let me ask you something, Ed.
We just hit a new low for dark.
Yeah, let me ask you something, Ed, and you two can answer too. Do you think it's any different to have a group of people standing around you kicking you in the face than it is to have a person touching you or raping you?
No, because
if you're like truly getting the fucking, because I've had like 5 people on me like kicking me all at once. Do you honestly think it's different? Do you honestly think it's different to have that kind of beating put on you as to?
Yes.
Okay, but I've been sexually assaulted as a child, and I can tell you, I remember the fucking beating a lot worse than fucking the girl touching me.
No, I don't. I remember getting after I got the shit kicked out of me. I spent 3 months in the hospital. I remember getting out, and I was perfectly fine after that. It was just wounds that healed.
Oh, fuck, touch my penis every time.
The mental anguish that people literally go through, is, for years, is for years. I think it's totally different.
I know that, my experience when I was, 5'6", and she was 6'7", it bothered me more than a lot of the ass kickings that I caught. But religious guilt played a particular role in that. Where I blamed myself a great deal for things that I had no control over. So it's different for everybody. I gave everyone else a last thought. I want to throw one thing out there. We talked a while ago about how it's becoming increasingly difficult for people to know what's appropriate or not when engaging with people, because of what's happening. And I just want to throw out a stat real quick. My generation, I'm at the very top of millennials. So my generation has the lowest amount of sex in America for 60 years. Oh. So that means we have the low, we have Tinder, we have the most sexually liberated culture in American history. And we are the most sexually restricted, age group since the sexual revolution in my country. So, while there seems to be an epidemic of misconduct, there's, we're also heading in a similar direction of Japan, where a lot of people are just not interested in sexual pursuits. So, and there's a myriad of reasons why. So just I guess a lighter / darker note to end.
Yeah, what's up with that? You guys don't fuck anymore.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I would bet money that you do. And West, Dave, that the birth rate in the West is plummeting
for sure, especially in Europe,
and
especially in Europe.
And some of it is birth control, and some of it is going to college later. Some of it is
those damn lesbians.
Feminism, where it's not.
You're welcome.
Well, there's advances I'm going to go super right in the left agenda, where it's not good to be a mother and a housewife. It's not considered to be successful like it used to be. And if you think that doesn't talk people out of having kids, you're crazy. So, that's happening, and downplaying the importance, of that type of role on both sides. Anyway, there's assault in all directions on sex. If you think about it, the Christians are against it. There's a whole very loud wing of feminism against it. There's this whole rape scare happening right now that makes anyone of conscience nervous to fucking hit on somebody.
Unless you could just jerk off.
Yeah, fucking hey, man, porn's at all-time high. So, and here's the thing, there's a growing movement called MGTOW. Since we're talking about sexual dysfunction of men going their own way, are you aware of that, Jenny? As someone that's particularly interested in, and I don't even know how to phrase what you're interested in, sexual conduct.
I thought that you'd forgotten that I was here. Okay, so what was the question? Midtown?
Oh my.
You guys have been rambling on for so long. I was just like, all right, whatever.
Never mind.
No,
He asked you what MGTOW.
no.
Do you know what MGTOW is?
Do you know what MGTOW is?
I don't actually.
Like, okay, it's an acronym for men going their own way.
Oh, okay.
There's a growing movement of men that are just swearing off of relationships, period, because they feel like it's largely stacked against them. And I am not particularly sympathetic to their cause, but they do have some significant points to make. That's
No, actually, just based on that little bit of information, I actually don't think that that's an incorrect way to go for right now for our culture. Because I think that women have started going through it and are still going through it, and kind of men are sort of catching up with that. Like maybe
it's a good thing.
Yeah, no, I think it's really, really good for people to learn who they are before they try to be who they are with somebody else. So don't define yourself by who you're with. I think that's kind of a crock of shit.
Well, sure, that's different than just not engaging in relationships. On principle.
Oh, okay. So this is just like a moral stance. This is not just, hey, so I'm going to take some me time and take a couple of years and roll back.
Right. The argument is largely that the culture is set against a man being able to settle down and have a family and be in control of the situation at any time.
Well, okay, so part of my final thoughts on this would be, like, can we just be fucking humans together? Would that be okay? Like,
everyone's all up everyone's fucking business.
I know, like, treat each other like real human beings. Like, no, come on.
We haven't yet. I'm not sure why we'd start now.
So MGTOW. Okay, got it.
No, that's dark. Even darker now. Anyway, anyone? Anything?
Ed?
No, I'm good.
Dave, you want to close the episode?
Mm-hmm. That was the absolute shit show for this week. Like, Jesus fucking Christ, man. What the fuck was that whole about? Like, our show, like, on a weekly basis, our show actually runs very fucking smoothly up until this point. Like clockwork. Bam, bam, bam. Segments in, segments out. I'm just kidding.
And then you have Jeanne on.
Yeah. And then we have Jeanne. We have Jeanne on. Jeanne fucks up the whole Jeanne. Fucked up. Look at Dustin. He's like looking at me like, you fucking cunt.
No, I'm just thinking, it was really nice to have, Jeanne on, Jeannie, however you want to pronounce it. No, we finally caught up on all the dishes. I had a nice sandwich earlier. So it's good to have everything, organized.
Ed?
Clean. Anyone want to follow that up?
Ed?
No?
Yeah.
You're a fucking cunt. I know.
Newfoundland, go ahead.
It's way off.
That's all, folks.
Yeah. Any comments or criticisms, you can email us.
Go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself.
You can send them to seriousinquiriesonly@gmail.com.
Love you.
You've been listening to the Everyone's Wrong podcast. You can find us on our homepage at Spreaker.com/Everyone's Wrong. You can also find us on iTunes and YouTube by searching for Everyone's Wrong podcast. Or you can listen to us on your podcast app of choice by importing our RSS feed. You can follow us on Facebook.com/Everyone's Wrong, or join our closed Facebook group by searching Facebook for Everyone's Wrong After Hours. You can tweet us at wrong_pod or email us at everyone'swrongpodcast@gmail.com.
I just want to say I'm sorry That's it. I'm so sorry. Like, I'm.
I accept your penis apology.
We've already said goodbye and all that shit to those people. The rape joke was too far, really. I didn't think I was too far. It's like
Yeah,
a joke.
that's a bit much.
You guys actually really talk during the "I'll be right back" part?
Of course we do.
No, like.